Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes, and another day in an upside down weather world. Weather in 5 brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, Long Island's largest rock salt provider and a provider of everything you need when it comes to taking care of cleaning up after winter storms. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, just north of the Southern State Parkway. They have tons and tons of rock salt, even after the winter storm that we had a week and a half ago. They got plenty for any of the storms going forward, and all the best ice and snow melting products that are on the market. Mag, Petalo, Omni Melt, they're all there at Omni True Value Hardware. Again, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue, 6317 OmniTrueValue.com. And whoops, I just kind of clicked it a little bit too fast. We are in what I've been calling an upside down world. Hope everybody's Christmas Eve and Christmas Day went well in spite of the very rough weather that we saw here in our neck of the woods with those screaming 70-mile-an-hour winds and heavy rains and the flooding that occurred in Pennsylvania. A bit calmer now, but that front is still impacting weather in Maine. And we saw temperatures this morning that were in the 50s up in northern Maine, and they're in the 40s down in South Florida. They're in the single digits in places in eastern Tennessee and also into parts of southeastern Kentucky. It's actually colder as you go south. It happens more often than not. It has to do with the orientation of the jet stream and who gets the cold air first. In this particular, we're used to seeing it west to east, but in this particular instance, the trough is kind of oriented north-south. So we're seeing the cold air go south first before it moves eastward. But still pretty interesting because it brought white Christmases to places that normally don't see it, and I'll show you that in a second. But that system is still in play, shooting moisture up into eastern Maine. You see the clouds running up also into eastern Canada. So you've got your cold air behind it, and that's moving straight southward. It doesn't bottom out till it gets into the southeastern part of the U.S. and into northern Florida. Meanwhile, we have more action coming in to the west in the northwestern part of the U.S. And you can see those clouds are streaming eastward. A bit of a busy day lake effect wise in upstate New York, where we're having some snows coming off Lake Ontario into north central New York and also in and around the Buffalo area. Meanwhile, you see the flow coming in off the Atlantic from south to north into the eastern half of Maine. That's still going to take much of today for that rain area and that rain shield to shift eastward. Otherwise, we're seeing fairly quiet conditions on the on the radar view down into the mid-Atlantic states. There's a little bit of light snow flurry activity going on and snow shower activity going on. Also in parts of Pennsylvania, coming off Lake Erie onto northeast Ohio, and a few patches also in upstate New York, in and around and just north of the Catskills and into the Berkshires, but nothing that is really causing anything significant. And here's a tighter, closer up view on the radars in here's Buffalo, and they're actually seeing in many areas in western New York have really seen very little snow this winter so far, and they're playing catch up. And also you can see the echoes coming in from west to east across the eastern shores of Lake Ontario and on up into parts of north central New York, mainly north of Syracuse. Otherwise, as we said, things are relatively quiet. So our front is now moving east past into New Brunswick. We've got high pressure centered down in the southern states, and we brought 20s and temperatures down in the 20s all the way into north central Florida, and the 30s went down into central Florida, 40s in South Florida. Got down to 49, I think, in Fort Lauderdale this morning, while it was 53 up in Presque Isle, Maine. So again, the upside down world, and we're going to see it repeated for New Year's. Here's the rainfall forecast over the next 7 days. Actually, the liquid precip forecast, because some of this is going to be snow. And again, more substantial rains that will probably come on the order of 1.5 to 2.5 inches. And the grounds in Pennsylvania, parts of upstate New York and New England now are absolutely saturated. So any additional rains, even a week from, less than a week from now, and five to 6 days from now, are going to be problematic. So let's take you through the rest of the weekend. Obviously, it's cold today. We've got a northwest flow. It's a bit on the breezy side. That's going to continue through this afternoon. We will have plenty of sunshine. And as for high temperatures today, we're looking at readings generally in the upper 20s and low 30s. And that is going to lead us to a cold night tonight. I think we're going to see temperatures by morning down in the upper teens to low and mid 20s, upper teens inland, low and mid 20s, coastal and warmer areas, warmer urban areas. And then on Sunday, with another day of sunshine, my thinking is temperatures will edge up just a little bit higher, and we should be pretty much in the mid 30s to around 40 everywhere. So the core of the cold air is over us today. We'll start to bounce a little bit on Sunday. And then Monday, ahead of the next cold front, we're going to be pushing up through the 40s. But this next cold front, by the way, really doesn't have a whole lot with it. We've got a low that's going to come out of the upper Midwest, move across the Great Lakes. You can see snow there in Minnesota and Wisconsin and into Michigan. That low runs up into southern Canada, but the southern end of it really doesn't have much. So I'm thinking we'll have a mix of sun and clouds on Monday. And then another shot of cold air comes down behind this for Tuesday and Wednesday. Wash, rinse, repeat. The weather from today and tomorrow will be the same weather for Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we've got another setup, much like what we had for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Well, this is going to come for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. One wave goes up to the northern lakes. Front pushes east. A second wave develops and moves northeastward. You see a changeover to snow on the northwest side in virtually the same places that saw a changeover to snow this time around, and heavy rains that start to come in later Thursday afternoon, or more than likely Thursday night into New Year's Day. And then weather conditions will start to improve once the front passes to the east and the low moves away. This time around, the system is probably a shade less strong than what we had. So I'm thinking, well, it may get windy ahead of it. Hopefully, we won't see the extreme winds like we saw from the system on Christmas Eve into Christmas morning. And there might be a little bit more of a changeover this time around in places like western and central Pennsylvania, a good chunk of upstate New York, maybe down to as far south as the Catskills, and then maybe working its way into western and northern New England this time around. Nothing ever repeats exactly, but it does have a tendency to rhyme. So enjoy the weekend. At least it's quiet and dry, so that's a positive for sure. And we will watch the developments over the next couple of days with these next two fronts. And after that, models are hinting at something maybe next weekend. We'll have to wait and see whether that is something that's going to be a serious threat or a system that's going to pass to our south. Weather in 5 brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, Long Island's largest rock salt provider and a provider of everything you need to do winter storm cleanups. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, 631-756-1125. The best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com, serving the entire tri-state area. We will see you later because there's no Joe and Joe show today, but there will be one tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time.